Hey, Matt Morris, welcome to the Unemployed Millionaire Show. And I want to record a quick lesson today on one of the number one rules on leadership. Now, there's a lot of rules on leadership, and this one is one that has, in many cases, for me, been a little bit difficult. And here's the rule of leadership. If you want to grab a pen, write this down. It's pretty sophisticated. The rule is to show up. Show up. Even when you don't feel like showing up, you have to show up. What do I mean by show up? Well, there's going to be a lot of occasions where you don't feel like going to do the meeting. You don't feel like doing the one-on-one. You don't feel like making the phone calls. You don't feel like speaking. You don't feel like whatever it is. And the deal is you just have to show up. And there's going to be times in your life where it's going to be hard for you. And I'm predicting your future because I've personally been through it a handful of times. In fact, one of the most difficult times when it was the hardest for me to show up, I had actually owned my own network marketing company. And long story short, but I ended up $750,000 in debt, 60 days away from bankruptcy. I ended up having to just go through a bunch of challenges, and a lot of people didn't like me a whole lot. I would get emails on a regular basis calling me some not so pretty names, and unfortunately it was just one of those things that I had to go through. And I ended up getting started with another company, and I had to go through the motions, and I had to show up for events. I had to show up and present the business to people. And there were so many times where I just didn't want to do it. I'd show up to a presentation and I would be the speaker. And so I'd do the presentation, and as soon as the presentation went over, I'd wrap up with a couple people and I'd get out of there as soon as possible. Now, normally I'm the last guy there, meeting with people, training and all that. And at this time in my life, I just wanted to get out. I didn't want to be there. And I remember one example. I got in my car, headed home, and I didn't even go home. I just pulled over into a parking lot, and I just cried because I had so many negative things going on in my life. I didn't want to go home and cry in front of my wife and my daughter, so I just pulled into the parking lot, and I just sat there and sobbed. And it was just one of those times where I didn't want to get out of bed. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd be awake till 5 a.m. Staring at the wall. The next morning, I didn't want to get out of bed, and ended up losing 15 pounds. And everything in me just wanted to shut off, just wanted to go into hiding, wanted to go take a sabbatical. But usually when you feel like you need a sabbatical, when you need to get away, that's exactly when you just need to show up. And what happens is you build that leadership muscle. When you show up, when you make the call, when you don't want to make the call, when you go to the meeting, when you don't want to go to the meeting, what happens is you develop this leadership muscle. It's kind of like working out. The more you strain your muscle, the stronger your muscle gets. And so that's the message for you today. When you don't feel like showing up, show up. And if you're going through hell right now, if you're having challenges in your life, keep going. Okay? If you're going through hell, just keep going. You're going to make it through to the other side. You're going to be a stronger person because of it. Hopefully this message helped and resonated with some of you. If you feel like it could add some value to others, definitely share it around. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, hop over to mattmorris.com, put your name and email address in there for some things that I only share by email. And as always, go make life an adventure.